Hey guys, I don't know what happened in the last video. I just tried to upload. A couple of you guys started to watch it, and I guess the last minute of the video, the audio cut out. So I wanted to go ahead and I'll try and re-summarize what it was that I was saying. Basically, what I was talking about was the First Amendment, and in particular, the freedom of the press and how it relates to the Las Vegas shooting out there. Uh, what I was explaining was that the freedom of the press is essentially it's an intelligence apparatus for the populace in general. It's for the people, and in particular, the reason why it's so important is because it is through that intelligence that we actually make determinations on our elected officials, which then in turn determine the direction of our government and our nation, and so on and so forth. So the freedom of press is it's actually a crucial element as part of our representative republic slash democracy, if you want to refer to it as that. But it's absolutely crucial because without that intelligence, the people have no information to make such determinations, and basically uh, those elected officials end up running amok, which is kind of where we're at today. By the same token, by destroying the freedom of the press, and not even so much in an overt manner. Um, it's not so much a fact where the government is coming in and is oppressing the media or anything like this, or throwing journalists in jail or anything like that, but by essentially creating an atmosphere of white noise where everybody becomes a journalist through the likes of YouTube and social media, Twitter, things like this, where everybody becomes a journalist. Essentially, what you've done is you have destroyed journalism, and this is based on the concept of if everything is purple, then purple ceases to exist. And basically, what it is the reason why purple is because it is distinct in its color from other colors. And it's that distinction that sets it apart and that actually defines it. By the same token, um, when we're looking at the media, if everybody becomes a journalist, then essentially there is no more journalism anymore. And this comes down to the concept of what is professional journalism, and you can look at this and debate it all you want. But the fact of the matter is journalists typically follow a certain code of ethics and a certain understanding where they're taught to remove their own personal biases, to remove their emotions from things, to investigate and let the information dictate where the story goes, and then report on it honestly and truthfully. And this is what they're taught and trained to do. And we have since gotten so far away from that, where you have the Fox network that is strongly right leaning, and CNN strongly left leaning, and individual characters within the mainstream media that have their own personal persuasions on certain issues, and so on and so forth. And now what happens is this ceases to become journalism. It becomes very individualistic, and the problem is that through the era of social media, you end up with the same unprofessional, untrained journalism, only on a massive scale. So if the truth of a story is hidden within that unbiased professional journalism, essentially what has happened is you have destroyed truth altogether, because everybody ends up bringing their own baggage to the story. Um, and this becomes a problem because of the fact that misinformation is far more damaging than no information. We would be that much better off not knowing certain details about the shooter than we would be to know 100 misleading details about the shooter. Um, and this, kind of ties into the whole thing going on right now with all these different conspiracy theories. This guy was a paid informant by the FBI, or this guy was actually dead 3 years ago, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. He was working for ISIS. It doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is when every individual claims to have the truth, truth itself ceases to exist. At least from our perspective. Not that truth is not knowable, but what happens is if truth is that needle in the haystack, every time somebody puts one of these quote unquote conspiracy theories out there, all you're doing is making the haystack bigger. You're just making it that much more difficult for actual trained journalists or even educated civilians, citizens, to actually determine and uncover the information. And this is something that we need to hold ourselves accountable for, because in the end, it's up to us whether or not we share this information. If we're just sharing something based on our own personal biases and perceptions, then without actually taking the time to do the investigation, then that's bad on us, because all we're doing now is continuing to spread that misinformation. And even if there was just a small nugget of truth in that, by you not taking the time to investigate it and to flush out fact from fiction, you end up actually exacerbating the problem, making it worse. So those were kind of my thoughts on the first video. I deleted it and I'll upload this one. But basically what I would encourage everybody to do is read whatever theories you want. I don't buy the story that's being released any more than anyone else does. I think we all know that there's something that is amiss here. But by continuing to share unvetted information, all you're doing is making the problem worse. So your option is to either, one, read it and don't share it, or two, take the time to research it, figure out what part is fact and what part is fiction, and then share that. So anyway, that was all I had to say. So, all right, train hard.